Now that there's a design in place, the next phase is to bring the installer in and figure out what kind of pitfalls we might expect, how to work around them. We don't want any unpleasant surprises. This is Phil. Phil's the installer, and he's coming by now. Phil knows exactly what the lay of the land is like, and that he can take a look and answer some of the questions that I have, because once we're moving 7 or 8 machines, and one of them weighs probably about 900 pounds, we want to make sure that we're thinking everything through, from drains to electricity.
That's basically it.
Drains and electricity. Plumbing, water, hookups, all of the relevant things when it comes to hooking up new machines.
Right.
We will have a total of 8 LG machines all along this side, none of these white Speed Queens. This machine is getting moved to pretty much where this LG is now, and all the LGs will be in a row.
Right.
All 7 of these machines are the ones that are being replaced. The 10-inch bases that they currently sit on are also being replaced. Those 7 Speed Queen washers will be replaced with 7 LG washers just like this one. They're much larger machines and can handle comforters and bedding. The best part is their footprint is only 1.5 inches larger than the Speed Queens they're replacing. It allows me to handle a lot more laundry in the same amount of space. When I first met with the distributor, I was only going to buy 3 LG machines, so how did I end up more than doubling my order and replacing all 7 Speed Queen machines on that one side? Economies of scale. I knew I would want to have more big machines at some point in the future. Every time you have machines delivered, you're paying freight and delivery, you're paying install fees, and you're paying setup fees. Instead of paying those fees multiple times, I'm paying it once and saving more than $15,000 over the next few years. The space will look and function much better, and my customer should be happier. Even though I've been through installs before and I've replaced a few machines here and there, it seems straightforward that we're replacing these 7 machines, put in 7 new ones, pop them into pretty much the same spot. It's never that simple. It turns out meeting with Phil, the installer, before the actual day of install, whether that's 4 or 6 weeks from now, was invaluable because he pointed out at least 3 or 4 different things that I need to think about and resolve before any of the new machines are delivered. And I'm going to walk you through all of those issues so that you can see whatever you think might be straightforward somehow never is. And there's always things that you need to think about, solutions to find. Installs are never as straightforward as you hope. The first issue we need to figure out is we are going to be moving this big 1,000-pound machine, swapping it out for where this smaller LG machine is, but the drain is specifically designed to shoot out the back of the machine with a little elbow like this that goes straight through the floor into the basement. When we move the machine, we have to move the drain about 2 or 3 feet. If the machine can't function properly, once we move the drain, then we have to figure out a contingency plan. Phil, the installer, came up with a great idea. He said, if necessary, he can punch a hole through the basement, creating a perfect flow of gravity for that drain once the big machine is moved. If when we put an extended drain on that machine, it doesn't function and drain properly. So we do have a contingency plan, but it's something that I necessarily wouldn't have thought of if Phil didn't come here and physically see it himself. The other issue that he raised with this big machine is it also requires a special 220 plug. We have the plug right near where the machine is currently. Luckily, the machine came with a 6-foot cord, so the cord will reach and still be able to access the power that I had to pay for to come up through the basement for the specific 220 power outlet. This folding table might be an issue because once we begin to move the machines, and if it pushes a few inches past where the folding table is, we'll probably have to replace this folding table, which is fine. I intended to replace it at some point anyway. I wanted to get a stainless steel, self-sustaining table with a bottom shelf for convenience for the customers. Once this big machine is moved, this door sticks out further than the existing one, which means it's going to back up more into the Coke machine. And it's less comfortable for customers to move with carts and for accessibility to the dryers. So what's the solution? Move the Coke machine, sell the Coke machine. It doesn't generate as much revenue as I'd like anyway. I don't mind parting with it, but it is one of those things that you have to think through before the day of install. Imagine trying to move this big machine and realizing now you have 2 machines that are not allowing each other to function properly. This is the 8-inch base that the machine currently rests on. I need all of the bases to be identical so the machines line up and there's not an unevenness between the top of each of the machines. Since I'm getting 7 more of these, I needed to make sure that instead of the 6-inch base that they thought they were sending, now they're sending 8-inch bases. I'm going to have this big machine and the other big machine back to back. How do you service the machines if they're back to back? So that was something that Phil and I needed to think through, because we have pipes that can't be moved running through the back of all of the machines. Phil felt that there would still be enough accessibility even though the two big machines would be back to back. This covers all of the plumbing behind the machines. I have very easy accessibility to all of the plumbing that is behind these machines. This is where your water hookup is, your drain. Phil pointed out that these LG machines with the coin drop on top, even though they will also be accessible with credit card through the PayRange app, this prevents anything from being stacked on the back. Currently, the thing that's covering the plumbing rests on the back of the white machines. This prevents that from happening. So what do? Well, we had to come up with a solution prior to the day of install. Phil also pointed out that the height of this setup is 4 inches taller than the LG machines with the 8-inch base, which means the LG machines will be about here. So how do you accommodate the hiding of the plumbing with a 4-inch difference in height between those white machines and the new LG machines? We had to come up with a solution for that. With a 4-inch height difference, this would actually look more like this. That is not acceptable. So what do? We're going to create stilts for this to sit on so that the stilts sit on the floor and the height will still be even. There'll be a 4-inch gap, which we'll probably put a nice 2x4 and paint it so that everything looks as nice as it can. At the end of the day, none of the issues that we found were big deal-killing issues, but they all have to be dealt with because the day of install is going to be busy, hectic, a lot of things going on just to install new machines. And I want my customers to have the absolute best experience possible. You're still going to have surprises on day of install, but if you can anticipate as many as possible, it just makes the day go a lot smoother. And it really pays to have an installer and a distributor and a company that you're working with that has a lot of experience, because several of these things I would not have thought of if Phil didn't come here prior to the install and make sure that he knew what to expect and that he communicated it with me, the owner, so that we were both on the same page. If you find these videos helpful and useful, please help me out and subscribe to the channel and like the video. I will be documenting the day of install and bringing you, the viewers, through the entire process. This is Jason from Laundry List, the best place for brainwashing.